that, but like there's all that harmony happening.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I literally only just learned the whispery vocals of Forbidden Love today.
I know those by heart.
I was like, I honestly have never looked it up to see what they're saying, and I'm like, what is Babyface saying during that? And I looked it up, and I was like, oh, okay.
Oh my God, I thought I was late to the party because I learned them during COVID with my new headphones, and I'm like, oh.
Tony, I like to still have new things to experience over Madonna. So like
you like to let it savor.
It's a slow burn. Yeah. So 30 years into the album, I just find some
Forbidden
stuff
Love is in my top 5.
But it was worth the wait, wasn't it? Because when I first heard them, I'm like, oh my God, Love Without Doubt. Love, yeah. Love, yeah.
I was like, I have no idea what he's saying. I should probably look it up before the show. Yeah, look it up. Where's my cup of tea? Okay, well, we're live, so whenever Two-Toned Liberty is, do we all like her hair? Like I love it. It's almost like a Prayer Pepsi commercial-ish. I'm surprised you didn't do the side stripe.
Well, I was trying to kind of like, I had wanted to like,
her little
put these. I mean, it's actually a little more erotica that look, but that's okay because that one is also celebrating its little anniversary.
Yes, not the purpose of tonight's conversation, but no. Happy Erotica Day, everyone. Mm-hmm. I was wearing my Dita. It was very tough to split my time between Dita and 1994 Madonna. I was like, I was so torn. I'm like, I just want to listen to erotica, but I'm like, no,
don't do it.
Don't do it. I was Dita on the T, Bedtime Story in the ear.
That's such a good combination. Like they could even be a double album. But
honestly, she fed us so much back in the 90s. I was looking at the calendar. I'm like, wait, so Erotica came out in 92. She toured in 93. I'll Remember. And then Bedtime Story in 94. I was like, we just got it was just an onslaught of Madonna. I was
Something to Remember in 95 and Evita in 96. The 90 to 96
Ray of
was
Light
like,
in 98. It was like it was nonstop. Like God bless you.
The Bedtime Story record cycle didn't end until the following summer, so it was 94, 95.
I know. It was amazing. It was a good time to be a fan.
Sure was.
Madonna forever. Madonna forever.
You're listening to MLVC, the Madonna podcast, your place for all things Madonna, Louise, Veronica Ciccone, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and today. Hi, everybody. I'm Liberty.
Hey, guys. It's Tony. Keep moving. Keep grooving.
Well, love tried to welcome me, but I'm still a stranger. Hello, everybody. It's Ben.
And hey, everybody, it's Stefan. Welcome to another episode of MLVC. Today on the show, in case you didn't know, we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of Madonna's Bedtime Story. I honestly cannot believe it's been 30 years. I was thinking about, I'm like, all these momentous anniversaries that we keep celebrating makes me feel like I'm ancient. I was just like traveling back in time, listening to this record and thinking of where I'm like, I was in college. Like it just all things kept flooding back to me. This album is one of my favorite Madonna albums. I don't know how everybody else feels about it. We'll get to that in a second, but it's to me, because I remember when it came out, and it was such a huge moment when it came out because it was transitional for her. You know, she had been torn down from erotica. So let's set the scene. Erotica, sex book, body of evidence. She was trashed in the media. Like Warner Brothers apparently was only giving her one more chance at another album. And they said, you have to tone it down. And they were very prescriptive about how specific she could talk about certain topics. That is where we got the Bedtime Story album. She had released I'll Remember on the With Honors soundtrack as sort of a way to soften her a little bit, to then introduce us to the Bedtime Story era. And I mean, to me, it's one of my favorite Madonna albums, always has been ever since it came out. I just think it works. What do you all, before we go, we're going to dive into everything, the songs, the videos, the looks. What are your general feelings about this era? I mean, we were all around when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was, like most people, pleasantly surprised because we didn't expect this fusion of dance and R&B from Madonna. We thought we were going to get, you get used to an artist putting out the same kind of, or the same genre music, the same music by the same producers. And she just kind of turned us out with something completely different,
Yeah.
even though we had, those of us that know or that knew back then, we would read in Rolling Stone or wherever that she's working on new tracks with Chet Pettibone, blah, 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 etc. And we got something completely different. And I'm glad we did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, at the time I was a senior in high school, and actually I didn't know that there was going to be a new record coming out. I lived under a rock. I didn't have MTV. I didn't have any kind of access to really media of any kind. And had a cassette player in the car, got this one, and I was like, oh my gosh, it just feels so different. Feels so like, I don't know if like, sort of gray is the right word, but it's just so down and it just is a groove. And as I re-listened to it, I feel like this might be my favorite record. I don't know. Maybe it's my age, my season. I don't know. It just is probably one of, if not my favorite.
Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I'm similar to you and Tony in that I was in college. I was a junior in college that fall and had just met in Intro to Creative Writing. Shout out to Angie. Had just met a couple of fellow like deep Madonna fans. And so we were so excited when the album came out. And like, oh God, she's going to kill me if she listens to this. Angie was so disappointed that it was not Vogue and Erotica Part 2.
Yep.
Whereas I kind of anticipated, because like Tony, I read Rolling Stone and I was on the early internet. Remember listening to Secret when it was on your little Netscape browser?
Yep.
A whole bunch of us listened to it in the writing lab at Marshall. Shout out MU, go Herd. And we listened to it, and I was like, oh, she's kind of going back to the first album vibe, but instead of 1982 version of that versus the 1994 version. And, name producers for the first time since Nile Rodgers. So I was excited, and all the hodgepodge of company, but yet it still sounded like her, and just, yeah, it's in my top 3 Madonna albums. I'm not going to say where because it changes from month to month.
Sure.
But seminal, and some of her best lyrics, in my opinion. Some of
100.
her strongest songwriting.
Yeah. So as listeners and you all probably know, like, I'm not one of those lyric people who like, oh my God, what she's like, give me a catchy hook and some good beats, and I'm like, I'm on board. But listening to this album, her lyrics, I'm like, wow, she's going deep, and I'm loving it. Like, she's talking about great things in this album.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
just the vibe works. The vibe is really good. Like, it's such a mood record, and a great mood, like I mean, to me, it's a no skip. You put it on and you sort of are on the journey. And even though it's different producers, it's very cohesive. Mm-hmm. I feel like it works as a complete body, almost to the point where I was surprised that more songs didn't get the single treatment because 4 just didn't seem enough.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, question. Quick question before we go any further. Are we team right side up, or are we team upside down album cover? So for those of you who might not remember, when it first came out, Bedtime Stories was the cover was printed right side up. So even though she's laying upside down, they had printed it right side up because I guess people assumed that we wouldn't understand why she was upside down. However, when they did a second printing of the album, they switched it, and her album cover was then upside down, which is how the photograph was taken. So Ben, yep, I was going to say I have the original printing.
I have the original day one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
day one. It's right side up.
Original
So,
cassette.
oh, but yours is upside down, Tony.
Mine's upside down. Yeah, this is the reissue.
That must have been the reissue, yeah. But so yeah, I've always, I guess because that's how I bought it when it was printed. I know liner notes are so fun to like. They did such a good job of this. Like I love. So I have the CD somewhere else, but like if you can see inside, it's like powder blue inside the CD cover, and then yeah, it's like it's fun to just sort of like take it out. Like I don't buy albums anymore, and like you get all the photography, and it's just beautiful. Like all
this one right here,
the Patrick DeMarchelier shoot is so good. It's so good.
Do you guys remember like what the Madonna cassettes used to look like? Because they were they were all the same.
Is that one still the same too?
Yeah. This one has the Maverick logo on it.
Yeah.
But it always had the same font.
Oh, here we go. Madonna wrote in the album, there's actually thank you notes from Madonna. So it says, making this album was a true test of my sanity and stability, and I want to thank the following people for helping me hold on to it. Freddie DeMann, Liz Rosenberg, Citron, Bert Padell, Lynn Shaffron, Guy Osiri, Alec Kashishian, Ingrid Caceres, and everyone at Maverick. Maverick rules. Thanks to Michelle for giving me the hookup. Thanks to Shep Pettivone for being understanding. And that's because she dismissed him. They were starting to work on the album together, and she was like, nope, it sounds too much like erotica. Bye-bye, Shep. So I love that she put thanks to Shep for being understanding. Thanks to Sherry Goldschmidt for working so hard. Extra special thanks to my assistant, Caress Henry, for taking such good care of me and keeping me from doing something I might regret later. So those are the little thank you notes inside.
And we can't be mad about the Shep part, because then we got Love Won't Wait, which her version and Gary's version are fantastic.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so this thing that I'm holding up right now is, I've referenced it and posted it on the Instagram before. This is it's like a little 8.5 by 11. What's it called when you
like a lithograph?
Plastic on it.
Oh, laminate.
A laminate. Thank you. It's late Sunday.
The teacher would know, right?
The teacher.
I was going to say, thank you, Teach.
It's a printed, laminated picture of Madonna, and it's Madonna's new album, Bedtime Stories, available October 25. And the day when I rolled into Tower Records at 10 a.m. because I had class at 11. So I forced somebody to drive me to Tower Records when they opened so I could be the first person in the store. And at the register, they had this little printout sitting next to it. And I asked the store clerk, I said, can I have that? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, well, it says the album will be out. And I'm like, and the album's already out. So technically this is old now. And he's like, sure. So I took it. So that's my fun little piece of merch that I stole from Tower Records. But I also have since we're showing and telling, one more thing that I have. Sorry for people who aren't watching this at the moment. I have all my maxi singles. So there's the secret CD single, which has 6 mixes on it. I was obsessed with the Junior's Luscious Mix.
Playing
that nonstop on the radio. And I was pledging my fraternity at the time. And so I always had to walk into there was a cafeteria where all the Greek life had their tables. And I would have to go do hours at the table every day. And they would play a Z100 on the radio in the cafeteria. And for some strange reason, during noon, whenever I'd come in for lunch, that song was always being played on the radio. And so one of the sororities that I was friendly with would always sing it whenever I'd come in, even if it wasn't on. They'd be like, Stefan's got a secret. And literally every time I hear that remix, I just think of pledging. Here's the Take a Bow one, which, of course, gorgeous photography from the secret video. I was rather disappointed with the Take a Bow remixes. I felt like they didn't really elevate
they were boring.
Yeah.
Call it.
We have the Bedtime Story CD single, which is her hand holding a flower. But then on the back, it's her from Take a Bow, which I always got pissed about. I was like, why is it from the old video? I never understood that. And then the Human Nature CD single, which is the gorgeous Bettina Rhymes photo shoot. Tony's got
Details.
Madonna's bosoms hanging over his shoulder. I kind of like the back where they did some sort of like interpolation of like, it's almost like erotica-esque looking with her face from the shoot. I love that shoot. Anyway, that's my show and tell. I dug these out just for fun.
Wow.
So 30 years. I did want to mention that although the album only peaked at number 3 on the charts when it was originally released in 1994, right? 94, right?
Yeah.
Where are we?
30 years.
30 years. 25 years after that, in April of 2020, fan decided to do justice for Bedtime Stories, and it launched a streaming campaign to get it to number 1, and it worked. And Bedtime Story went to number 1 on the streaming charts. Madonna even recognized it and thanked all of her fans. I thought that was kind of a nice bow on the top of that. But so let's dive in.
Yeah, because it feels like she doesn't always like visit this, with the exception of Human Nature. Human Nature's a frequent favorite of hers.
Yeah.
But there are so many songs from this album that I would just kill to hear, just kind of like the way that when American Life was so heavily featured in Tears of a Clown. It's just like, I wish that Bedtime Stories, the whole album, had a big moment like that, because as we dive in, we'll talk a lot about that difference. And do we want to talk maybe a little bit about the reception, or do you want to just dive right in, like how people received or the critic?
We can talk
after.
Let's talk about some songs, and then we'll talk. Cool. Well, then we can do reception.
Nice.
So we're just going to try and briefly talk about all the 11 tracks on this album. So first up, we have Survival. Tony, do you want to take Survival?
Oh, it's me. Yeah,
that's
Survival.
you, Tony.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I'll never forget the first time I popped the CD into my car stereo, and you first hear Survival and you hear Nikki and Donna, and it's just like, oh, here we are again, But the sound was different, and it had like a definite R&B sound, but it also sounded modern. It didn't sound like anything you'd heard before, especially from Madonna. So that was a great track to open, and also kind of, lyrically goes back to what was going on with erotica and how she felt she was being treated by the press and the American public. So love Survival.
It's gorgeous. I thought it was such an appropriate opener. I think it still holds up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I always remember one of my dear, great, late friends, his name was Todd. Todd first heard Survival. I tell this to honor his memory. Todd was at a gay bar, and a drag queen turned on Survival and did a lip sync to Survival. And he was like, that was the first time I ever heard the song, and I was amazed. And I just thought that was so cute to be able to to have heard a drag queen, like that's your premiere to the song, would have been hysterical.
Wow. Am I the only one? I know I'll Remember was in between them, but I feel like Survival picks up the story that ends with Secret Garden.
Oh, yeah. Well, because I'll Remember is it's not an album song, so
yeah, it's just over there. I like it, but it's just over there. But I liked Survival aesthetically because I felt like it picked up the story of where she kind of left off. That sort of wet and a mess in Secret Garden. And now she's like, okay, as with Living for Love, she's putting her crown back on and taking off on a new adventure.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, somebody in the chat literally just said the same thing. That's funny.
There you go.
I've always had this theory that the last song on the last album always will introduce you somehow, or give you sort of like a segue, a nice segue. If you are listening in succession to all the records, they always there's just like a moment where you're like, it's going to be curtains on this one and open to the next one, but it like a next act, but there's still like a linking somehow, either through, like you mentioned, the story, the lyric, or the sound. And for whatever reason, I had forgotten the order of the track I always thought that Take a Bow was before Bedtime Stories, which we'll get to later. But the way Bedtime Stories is so forward or Bedtime Story is so forward and sort of segues into Ray of Light.
Mm-hmm. Oh, totally. Yeah. So second song is Secret. That was the very first single. Tony.
Yeah, that was even before any of us had the album. The first time we heard, also the lead up to Secret, we didn't know what it was going to sound like. We didn't know what it was going to look like. I remember I remember being in the car telling my friend on the way to school that this video, I had like a dream about it. It was Madonna eating cake naked, like a white, like she was like naked and all you could see was this big white cake and she was like eating it. I don't know where it came from in my feverish imagination, but then the song comes out and I'm like, oh my God, this is once again like Survival. It's R&B, but it's very slick. It doesn't sound street. It sounds very polished. So it also has like those, British blue-eyed soul influences at the same time sounding like what was coming out of Atlanta at the time. So it was all these things in one, and then Madonna. And then the video was another departure. We saw her with, we saw it on the album cover art, but we saw her with the pierced nose. We saw her with this like, hair that wasn't, overly done. We saw all this religious imagery, and we saw her in Harlem, and it was really cool. I mean, years ago, I was at my friend hosted a party at the National Arts Institute, that over off by Gramercy Park, and he took me over to meet this woman. He's like, "I want you to meet Melody McDaniel. She directed Madonna's
Oh my God, amazing.
Bedtime Stories video." So I sat down with her and I talked to her for about 20 minutes, and she's like, "I took Madonna to Harlem. We had she said she had like this album of all different hairstyles. She said there were like, I don't know how many dozens of different hairstyles that they were like taking photos to see which one was going to work." And just thinking about that made me insane. I was like, I want to see that book, and, we've also seen the B-roll footage that has resurfaced in the past couple of years of her just walking down the street, singing live, so there's just so many great things associated with Secret. And as Stefan has already mentioned, the remixes are each one so good and so different, and they slap in a different way. I love Secret.
Question for the group. Remind me, was Secret the first time we heard the Madonna hum?
Well, on record, yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, was this, because I remember when Secret came out and she's humming, but then I felt like we got a lot of humming from Madonna in songs after that. I'm trying to remember if that was like the first time in a song we got her humming, because after that, then we got like, there was that TV show theme song where it was just her Wonderland. It was like all of her humming, like I felt like Frozen, she was humming, but it wasn't like until we heard Secret, I feel like that was the first time. And then humming became like her thing. I don't know if anyone in the chat can remember if there was humming before. I don't want to say this was the first time, because then I'll be wrong and somebody will be like, "Stefan, that wasn't the first time." Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, everyone loves to. I feel like
she hummed. You're right. Concert. Somebody says in the chat that she hummed a little bit in Physical Attraction. I don't.
We'll go back and listen to some.
I'd have to go back.
I'd have to.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yeah. But yeah.
Wait, does she hum and Open Your Heart or Papa Don't Preach?
We could do this. We could do this all night.
We could sit here all night.
I'm keeping. Yeah, there's some. I
but
think there's
not. You know what I mean? Like in the way that she does it. In the way that she does it in Secret, it's
she hums an actual melody in Secret.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what you're getting at. There's actual it's performative and not just an ad lib.
Right.
Yeah. Correct.
Secret walked, so Don't Tell Me could run. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you bring up the Melody McDaniel video. We can talk about the videos as the songs come up. But I mean, what a killer video that was.
Yeah, so good.
Gorgeous. I mean, she looked beautiful, and the styling was so good. It was just everything was on point. I love when everything sort of comes together and links up really good. Like the vibe of the song, the video fit it. She just looked beautiful walking down the streets of
Yeah.
Harlem. Like literally the video could have just been her strutting down the street and I would have been happy, you know?
Yeah.
Also, I loved how like the persona of her being this like lounge cabaret singer
Yes.
in Harlem, which I thought was actually quite funny rewatching the videos just the other day, where I thought, oh, how funny that like she did that and then cut to me seeing her at the Red Rooster in Harlem, and she's actually doing that. Like that was her shtick at the Red Rooster was, I mean, a little bit more extravagant, but it was fun to sort of, because I remember when I saw the secret video, I was like, when would Madonna ever be in this small little club in Harlem? Well, it just took about 25 years, and there she was. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, super catchy. I love the guitars. I love the little wah, wah, like there's like wah wahs on that they use on some of the instruments, like the strings. I mean, the orchestration on that song is brilliant. It's just and it's catchy as all hell. You know, it's a shame.
Oh yeah.
It's
Now, one thing I was going to add, I remember because I used to always go and buy the Japanese CD singles because God, you know, if God was smiling at me, there would be like an extra track on there or another remix. And the secret Japanese CD had an additional track called Let Down Your Guard, which is one of my all-time favorite Madonna B-sides. And I don't know why it didn't end up in remixed and revisited along with Your Honesty, but I think there was a lot there. You know, that was a standout track that could have survived on the album, and it would have been.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I loved that time when we had to you had to work for it in order to get like these B-sides. Like now, it's just like Google it and it's on Twitter or somebody has it on YouTube illegally or like. But like back in the day, yeah, you had to like comb through the import section at Tower Records and like do your work. Like it was work to find that stuff. Or like a friend of yours would be like over in Europe for the summer and like bring you something home. Like, look what I got you. And you're like, oh my God. Like, yeah, good times. Third track, I'd Rather Be Your Lover, Ben.
One of my faves. So those of us who were around in 94, we heard that she was making this record and that it was going to have some hip hop influence because we knew she was working with Dave Jam Hall, who had just had a massive hit with Mariah's Dream Lover the summer before. Okay, sidebar. This recent revisitation that Madonna and Tupac had dated, like we knew about that back then, right? Like this whole thing that was like a new revelation. I'm like, was it? I knew about it because it was like, it was before the whole, I don't even know what to call the Dennis Rodman situation.
Interesting.
It was true love.
But
the thing
okay,
was,
sure.
But Ben, I think what you're trying to say is that it wasn't confirmed by her or anyone official. We saw her at basketball games with different guys, and we just assumed this is her new boyfriend. You know?
Yeah, but. So obviously he was supposed to be on this track and I've heard the leak of that track, but like honestly, I like the Michelle Indigio version much better.
Yeah.
I like the bass on this song. It is so aggressive and the song just thumps. I love it. I think the lyrics are completely screwy and weird, but like it works with the energy of it. So yeah, could have been a single in my opinion, even with the mother, lover, sister, weird stuff. But like it was 94. The country was in the mood for it. So
and the only reason we didn't get the Tupac version is because he got court troubles with like
and he broke up with her.
Yeah. So
but he was in jail and they didn't want.
Oh yeah, Warner was not going to let that happen. Yeah.
But and this is one thing that I was going to bring up. I love the how times have changed because if you look on the album, there's no mention of Michelle on track number. Like if you look at just the credits on like the back, like the track listing, it's not like it says I'd Rather Be Your Lover featuring Michelle Nadegio cello, nor does it say Take a Bow featuring Babyface. Like they're in the liner notes. If you go in, you can like see that they're there. But like today, like Charlie XCX does a whole campaign about like this song with this person, this song with that person. Like everyone has to get their credits. But I'm like, I love that back in the day. And like, again, like a prayer, love song doesn't even mention Prince in the title. You know,
Yeah.
today it would be love song with Prince.
No,
And
it's a Madonna record, period.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
actually,
like,
that's such
yeah.
a good point because it's something I kind of miss is the mystery part of like, well, who actually is that, and is that somebody that I might want to check out their stuff? And I
Yeah.
get that now. That's pretty standard is that you'll see it's Madonna featuring XYZ or XYZ featuring Madonna, as in Champagne Rosé. But I don't know. I feel like it was kind of fun. Like again, I lived under a rock. It's not like I knew who Michelle Indochella was, but I know. Look, listen, you'd have to know where I grew up and how little Madonna got anything on the radio there. It was just very, very uncommon. And
you had to work for it,
it's
though.
just,
Yeah.
I did.
That was the beauty of it. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
you had to
Yeah.
really work to be a fan. You know,
Yeah.
and
I found out about Michelle Indochella about a year before. I was reading Sassy magazine, as one does. There was a full page ad for the album, and it's it said the introducing Michelle Indochella, the newest artist on the Maverick Recording Company, and I was like, okay, I don't care who she is or what she sounds like. I have to find out because she's on Maverick. You know,
Mhm.
Right.
So you guys hadn't heard if that was your boyfriend, he wasn't last night before this.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
because
did.
that song is
Oh
like
my
the
God.
business.
Oh my God, I had totally forgotten about that song. Oh, I
If
have
he
to
was
listen
your
to that after
boyfriend,
we're
he
done
wasn't
this.
last
Oh my
night.
God, that's
Ooh, everybody go
amazing.
look that up on YouTube.
Oh my
Later.
God, I
Yeah,
forgot
and there's a
about that.
song on Plantation Lullabies called "I'm Digging You Like an Old Soul Record." I still
Oh,
got a
so
playlist. So
good.
good.
So
So yeah,
good.
so then reading the liner notes, seeing her name on it, I was like, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could we just pause for a second? Sassy magazine. I really want to know what
I know.
this
I was
is.
stuck there.
You guys don't know about Sassy? Okay,
It was
Oh, we
Sassy
do.
like a
I do. I
was Sassy
know.
like a what kind of magazine was it?
So Sassy was like a teen girl magazine, but it had really like the writers were all like really hip,
It was like Teen Vogue of its day.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you say, Tony?
Jane Pratt was the editor. Like
Yeah.
they had like Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain on the cover.
Oh.
They're the ones who started the I Hate Brenda newsletter. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I got all my information from them.
Oh my God, how funny!
I don't remember Sassy. I remember Jane, but I don't remember
Yeah,
Sassy.
Jane came after Sassy.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Sassy.
Do you
Sassy,
still have copies of Sassy?
You know what? Actually, when my friend Shannon and I were doing our other podcast, we found an archive of all the Sassy magazines.
Oh my God! I
So
love
we have
it.
them on PDF. Yeah,
That just feels like that. It's like some gay needs to like resurrect that and be like and take it and make it like a gay magazine. Like Sassy.
Well, they tried to launch a male version of it. Spike Jonze, the director, he was involved in it. It was called Dirt.
What?
It was called Dirt,
Oh,
but it only
yeah.
lasted like a few issues.
I vaguely remember that.
That Dirt. What a terrible name. Like you go from Sassy to Dirt. Like that just no.
Because
You
it was
need-
guys,
Okay. But think about all the magazines of the 90s. Come on.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
But Sassy they never had Madonna on the cover, but they always had articles about her, and I guess they couldn't get her.
Probably. Yeah. She's like Sassy. No, thank you.
Mhm.
I love that though. It's a great name. It's gonna be like my drag name if I ever do drag again. Sassy.
Sassy magazine.
It's hysterical. So fourth song on the album, Don't Stop, Liberty. What do you got for us?
Oh gosh. I mean, quintessential like a dance track, right? Get you up on the dance floor to just kind of, bop. Yeah, you do the what is it called? Like a circle thrust. And you just do the and it's the typical get up on the dance floor lyrics that she does so well. But I'm going to touch a little bit on the vocal for this particular, because all of these tracks have, each track is a different vocal treatment. If you really listen, she's singing either this sort of light, not that it's barely audible, but like this one has this sort of like not a whisper, but just this very light vocal that love because the bass, that bump is so, so it's a nice juxtaposition. It's just perfect. It's like a perfect little dance song that you could, in your kitchen, you're just, whipping up your little pasta or whatever, and you've got that going on in the background and your circle thrusting around. And it's just, I just love it. I
feel like Don't Stop would have really been well served with like a Benny Benassi remix, because right now to me, Don't Stop is sort of like this album's cherish. It's very sweet. It's very fluffy. It's almost like it could have been 1994's version of Into the Groove, but it's a little too soft. It's a little too like adult contemporary. It doesn't sound, it's about dancing on the dance floor, like getting up in the club, but it doesn't sound like a club song to me. It's very light. It's a very like sort of like fluffy dance song. To me, it's super catchy and I love it. Yeah. But I just have been interested to hear a harder version of
Frankie Knuckles.
Yeah,
Frankie Knuckles.
I used to hate Don't Stop, and then through the years, it's actually matured like a fine wine, I would say. But I look at it now, it's a roller skating song. It doesn't build up to anything. It just kind of goes around and around.
Yes,
And she's done this in other of her albums where she throws a song in there like that, where it's like, it's not supposed to be anything except what it is,
And a silly little rhyme with the sing la di don't. I just think that's just, it's so cute. It's quintessential, like, on the birds, like, of the wingy, like
it's the
just
impressive instant of the album.
This is the impressive instant of Bedtime Stories.
Yeah, it's just cute, and it's an easy song that you could go, wait, what's that? When's that from? Because it doesn't. It fits there. It could fit on just about any. It could fit on Hard Candy. Like it's so. There's in fact there's a song on Hard Candy that this one reminds me of. The heartbeat, I think.
Oh, I feel it in my heartbeat. Yeah, I could see that.
I was thinking it sounds like the one with Dustin, or Justin, that's toward the end of the album. The
Dance Tonight.
Dance Tonight.
Oh, Dance Tonight. Yeah. Also,
I thought you were talking about the one she did with Dustin Hoffman.
Stop it.
They're like relatives.
It's the same world. Yeah, I think it's definitely. Well, I mean, I often say that like Bedtime Story and Hard Candy are all almost sort of like in the same world. I feel like, I mean, we've said this before, Bedtime Stories was, I think, far more successful because it seems more inherently Madonna, whereas Hard Candy seems like a Justin Timberlake album or Justin and Timbaland just produced a Madonna R&B album.
And Bedtime Stories has a little bit of an avant-garde to it, which I think Hard Candy's puts that aside.
There's definitely a finesse or a panache to Bedtime Story. There's like a classiness about it.
There's also the skill set of the musicians and producers involved.
Oh,
it sounds expensive.
Expensive. Dallas, Dave, Nelly Hooper, Babyface, all those people were like crazy talented musicians who could write songs and write music. I mean, not to slag off the Neptunes or Timbaland, because what they do, they do is amazing. But like Madonna needs that composer energy.
She needs a luxury.
Yeah.
Again, luxury. Not knocking Hard Candy, because y'all know I love me some candy shop. So
sure.
Oh yeah.
Don't come for us in the comments. We love a little booty get down.
What if it had gotten a David Morales mix?
Oh, exactly. Or like a Junior remix, just like give me.
Well, Junior would have taken it tribal, like Secret. Yeah. Don't Stop needs like a Detroit house or a Chicago house.
Yeah, David Morales, you're absolutely right.
That would have been fun.
Yeah,
it would have been,
or like
like a little song of the summer type of vibe. Like it just needs. Yeah, there must be something out there. There must be. I'm gonna find something.
Find it, fans.
Find it. Up next, Inside of Me. Okay, so I took this song. I love Inside of Me. This, to me, was Whereas I loved Waiting on Erotica, this to me was like that same type of vibe for some reason. I loved that Inside of Me, she's talking about her mom. I loved that when I heard, because you hear the song and you're like, oh, she's talking about a boyfriend. Or
Of course, I thought so.
like the innuendo of like Inside of Me, like when you see that, you're like, oh, she's talking about sex, and it's not. It like has nothing to do with that at all. And her voice sounds so like young and very like childlike in this because she's singing in one of her higher registers. I love the production of this number because it's like it's all the breath that's happening in the song, that funny horn, that's going on throughout the song. Like there's so many different elements to it. The beat slaps. I mean, I love Inside of Me. It's one of my favorite songs on the album. It's so good.
And it has like 3 samples and interpolations, right? Like it's very much a pastiche that somehow like surpasses the sum of its parts. It's a really interesting song. That's funny that you guys thought it was about a boyfriend. I immediately
me too.
cued in that it was mom.
I never did, probably not until maybe 5-10 years ago. Like for me, it was a long time when I think it was somebody mentioned it and I was like, oh, I keep a picture of you. And she always has a picture of her mom.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, sure.
Yeah.
But it works. It's so beautiful for the vocal, again, just sort of dreamy and light and also childlike, right? Especially if you take into consideration that this is for mom.
Yeah.
But I love that poke in the eye of putting its song title Inside of Me, especially knowing that
I know
she had so much grief from the album. That was the little fu, middle finger.
I used to always wonder if Inside of Me's placement on the track listing, because when you listen to it on cassette, it's the last song on side A. And I always thought, is that like going back to Promise to Try, which was the last song on side A?
Oh, neat. Oh, fun. Good call. I love that. Yeah, see, I didn't have the cassette, so I didn't know that. But that's a great call out. Yeah, I love how she twists that, how it's like you can do a song that has 2 meanings to it. And I think it's super successful in that, and just it's a great quiet song, but it's also got a really great beat, and I just super catchy. I love it. Next track on the album is Human Nature. I took this one as well. Funnily enough, Human Nature was one of those songs where I was like, I don't need to hear Madonna sing this song ever again. Like I felt like she did it so many times on tour. I love the video. When this song came out, again, this was one of those album tracks where I wasn't drawn to it right away when the album, like, again, I listened to the back to front all the time, but it wasn't like a standout favorite of mine until the video came out. And then the video came out and I was floored because it's, again, her confronting all of the media and press vitriol that she received from Erotica. And she's just talking about it up front and blunt. And I get that that's why she loves it, because it means something to her and it's part of her career and such a prominent moment for her. But I love that she reunited with MG Gong and Luca Tomasini in the choreography for the video. She's got a little Chihuahua dog in there. She looks amazing. I like the choreography, the rope choreography and the box choreography.
Insane.
Like, it's amazing. And anytime I see squares like that somewhere, I'm always like, oh, it's the Human Nature video. It's just architecture, I don't, but yeah, it's beautiful. The, Human Nature video directed by Jean-Baptiste Mondino. And I think, again, one of the things that I love about this era is she worked with top pros.
Yeah.
Filmmakers.
At the top of their game. Not only just the producers of this album, but the filmmakers that she was working with, Melody McDaniel on Secret. Now we're at Human Nature, Jean-Baptiste Mondino, this was the last single and video that we got from her. All 4 of the singles and videos are so strong and so different. And by the time we got to this video, it was like, here's another incarnation of Madonna that is like, she was just serving up looks and great personas in the videos, which I think is a testament to her work ethic and her creativity as an artist. It was, and it's fun that she still performs this song and loves it. And it's, do we all like Human Nature? What do we think of Human Nature?
I would say on this record, it's my least favorite, but I love the message so much for her. And I love I just don't, I guess I don't, stylist, like musically, it's just not my favorite, but I love the message, like I mentioned.
Yeah, I love the message too. Musically, I think it's great, but during the time it came out and it was being played a lot, I was in my lesbian phase, and all my lesbian girlfriends, like, I kind of heard it through their ears. Like, they would tell me, like, oh my God, I love that part when she's whispering and she says, would it sound better if I were a man? That went over my head. But, you know, to hear like women tell me that that's what resonated with them, I was like, yeah, Madonna is years ahead, you know?
Right. Because that is pre, like, Spice Girls take over the world sort of thing. This the girl power, it's right before this.
Yeah.
I'm just a girl, like, took off in the world. And I mean, you never put Madonna in sort of this riot girl sort of thing, right? Except that could kind of crown her there a little bit, but just in a different, like, sonically different, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting to me because I liked the song enough. I'm kind of like Liberty. It's probably my least favorite. If I had to rank them, it's probably my least favorite track after Don't Stop of the 11 songs, only because to me, the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, this sounds like a Public Enemy backing track. And it also had that thing of, like, when really famous people complain about their fame, I'm always like,
Yeah.
But in a case where the video creates a synthesis that surpasses the original piece of art, because what did we get in the video in addition to amazing fashion, looks, and choreo? We got the humor back. Funny Madonna was back with the goofy crossed eyes and the laughter and the faces and the in-jokes. And I was like, oh, this is like synthesizing all these things, picking up the Express Yourself song and the video and sort of carrying that forward into an era on the other side of expressing yourself and being asked to repress yourself and then not doing it. The video really took it to the next level in terms of, like, artistic synthesis.
Well, and I think it was such a great, that last line, which isn't in the song, but it's in the video. It was such a great bookend for the era, you know, because it was the last single. It was the last video we got from this, and we never got the tour because she got Evita. But to have her sit there and the music just claps to an end and absolutely no regrets. And it was sort of like her final note of, like, okay, yeah, you can complain, but I don't apologize for any of it. You know, like, I'm proud of what I've done. And now looking back, I think that's why we were so proud of the love that Erotica got for its 30th and the Sex Book reissue that happened down in Miami at Art Basel. And it was like, yeah, it was brilliant and it's ballsy. And the fact that she got so much shit for it was so ridiculous, because now you look at people and what they're doing, you know, like, I just think of like wet ass punani, whatever, you know, like, and I'm like, come on, like, that's just tragic. You know, at least Madonna's art was classy. You know, like, she never, like, in the, like,
I don't know. I like WAP. I think that's hilarious. I love it. I love that song.
I remember, like, about 6 years ago, Rihanna put out that big coffee table book of her completely nude, and no one batted an eyelash. No one said anything. No one cares, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, times really have changed. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Next up, we've got Forbidden Love, Liberty.
Yeah, from the little whispers to the message, which again could be twisted in so many ways. You know, whose love is forbidden to her? Because you don't think of Madonna having, you know, to, like, keep anything under wraps, so to speak. Even though private Madonna maybe would say something different, but this is the thing about Forbidden Love. When I saw in 2005, right when that same title is on the Confessions album, I'm like, is this the same song reworked? Or because how could you do that better? I personally love this track.
I love that she did that because like she's always sort of sampled herself or like resung lyrics and other, like from earlier songs into more recent songs. And so obviously Forbidden Love came out on the Bedtime Story album. And then, yes, when the Confessions album came out, we had another song called Forbidden Love, which I thought was brilliant of her to not even call it like Forbidden Love 2005. It's just Forbidden Love, same thing. And it's a completely different song about a completely different topic. And I just love, and again, this is the second Babyface song, but the first one that we get on the album, if you're listening in order. But yeah, we were saying this at the top of the show when we were coming on. I only just Googled what lyrics the Babyface was whispering, because I don't know why I just never occurred to me to look at what he was saying. But yeah, it's love without guilt, love without doubt, over and over and over again, and then rejection, love without doubt. I never knew that that's what he was whispering over and over again. But
ASMR for the 90s.
Yeah, I love this album because it's side 2 on the cassette. We had Human Nature kicks it off, but here to the end is where we get this glimpse. We start getting the glimpse into literary Madonna. I mean, rejection is that's a Marcel Proust quote from back in the day, because at the time she was giving an interview, she was talking about how she was rereading Carson McKellar's again, that she was reading a lot of Anne Sexton. She'd been reading Whitman and Proust. Like, she was kind of revisiting like 19th century authors and mid-century, mid-20th century authors, and she really like the Proust quote, and then just like the lyrics of this song. I mean, her and Babyface turned it out with the songwriting. And then it's so interesting because Babyface had such a distinctive sound. I mean, think about it. What was the big soundtrack? Waiting to Exhale came out at like almost
Tony Braxton and
Tony Braxton's. Oh God, that first Tony Braxton CD is so good.
I know.
But then you get this song that sounds like Massive Attack, and I remember the first time I heard it. It is my favorite song on the album and in my Madonna top 5 forever and ever.
Wow.
And the first time I heard this and I heard the production, I immediately was like, is this Massive Attack? Oh my God. And of course it was Nelly Hooper of Soul to Soul, sort of the godfather of trip hop and house in Britain and like that. But this song sounds so good. The engineering on this track is ridiculous.
Yeah. And the vocal, I mean, Babyface's vocal for that where he goes high, those melodies, like all the harmonies that come, not melodies, the harmonies that go are like the forbid. I can't do the high part. I'm not ready. You're
not vocal ready. You haven't warmed up.
I think this is one of Madonna's sexiest songs.
It's so sexy. It's so sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and I love they sound so good together. So
they really
good
do
together. Like sometimes I feel like it's like, okay, I get it. They're like she's singing with somebody, that's fine. Like her and Maluma. But sorry.
It's okay.
But like Babyface, because Babyface was a name at the time. Like he was big on his own and then big doing like songs for other people as well. And then he works with Madonna, and it's almost like he's sort of just like a backing singer for her, which is kind of funny, like he's like he's her Nikki and Donna,
At the same time, like you said, he was so big at the time. This almost gave her the credibility. Not that she needed it,
right?
But this gave her the credibility that she needed to bounce back from the erotica backlash. Mm-hmm. It was like, oh, she can be on the radio now,
Yeah, she's safe again.
Yeah.
Right, and for those who want to say, you know, shut up and sing, right? Here you go. This is a beautiful vocal.
Yeah. I wish we would have gotten some of the other songs that they did together for this album and the tracks that didn't make it to Ray of Light. Like, I would really like to hear those.
Yeah, you guys noticed that Madonna barely speaks in this album.
Yes. True. Yeah, there's no talking Madonna. But so Ben, what you were just saying, you wish you had gotten some more of that. Apparently, for Record Store Day this coming November, there is a rumor that we are getting a Bedtime Story release in honor of the 30th anniversary. So apparently for the American Life, you can look it up, it's on Reddit. Apparently for the American Life Record Store release, there's a specific name. Somebody said that they used a fake name and for that album. It was like a code word so that people wouldn't know that that's what it was going to be for American Life. That same name has popped up on the list of what's coming out for Record Store Day in November. And the album title is called Nap Time. So they're assuming that, it's definitely for Bedtime Stories. And the rumor is that on this Bedtime Story album Record Store release day, that it's going to be a re-release of the album. And then there's going to be 6 additional unheard. Now, I don't know if that means like commercially available demos, but they're saying that there's going to be 6 unheard demos to accompany that album. Obviously, like Ben said, I'm hoping we get stuff that we didn't hear from this album, which would be amazing. So
that's crazy because I thought there was nothing for Record Store Day for Madonna because everybody has kind of been saying like, oh, nothing Madonna, and sometimes you'll find those like RSD releases like after the fact. I go to record shows because the significant other really enjoys looking for his unusual metal records, but like I've seen a whole bunch and I've got Bedtime Stories on I think it's the whatever that newer vinyl, the light vinyl that I have that version too, but I would be very interested to have that
for sure. Yeah, so here we will see. I mean, because I think that's the thing. I saw a lot of people, fans, listeners, wishing why hasn't she done anything? Why hasn't there been anything announced for the 30th anniversary? Because 30 is a big deal, So obviously the official anniversary is happening this Friday on the 25th. So who knows? Maybe she'll make the announcement then. I mean, I'd love to see it. I'm always pulling for a T-shirt. Tony, you've got a Bedtime Story T-shirt Tony's saying very light, but it's the Bedtime Story font.
Wow.
What you got? You said you got that on Etsy.
Yeah, I got it on Etsy during COVID. I've always been a big fan of Fabian Baron. He did the graphic design for Erotica sex book, and then she brought him back for Bedtime Stories. He created this font inspired by his revamping of Harper's Bazaar around the same time. So it was not the same font, but it was inspired by that font.
I always loved how tiny the font was. Yeah. Like it's so
super
beautiful.
Thin.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up something really quickly. So hopefully we will get some reissues, or re-releases of the demos. I mean, I'm thinking, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I'm thinking as it stands, there's the 4 that have been semi-released. There's Freedom. There is Your Honesty. There is Don't Let Down Your Guard, and then Love Won't Wait. But it would be great to see or hear more that I don't know about.
Yeah, that's the thing. Anytime that they're going to release something, I want it to be something that's no one's heard. Like you can hear some of that stuff online as of right now, but so I don't want it to be like it hasn't been commercially released. Like I want hasn't been heard ever. First time out of the vault. Make me line up to the store and buy my own record player, Madonna. That's what I want. I don't own a record player. Make me buy a record player and wait in line at Record Store Day to get the album because there's an unheard song on there.
Right, but I don't want to stand in line with a bunch of other people trying to get the same thing.
Philadelphia, honey, I'm telling you, no one comes for. If you want a Record Store Day, go to Philadelphia. It's you can get stuff so easy. What was the American Life thing? I was there was 5 people in front of me. I walked in. I'm like, do you have the American? Yep, it's right here. I'm like, oh, okay. Everyone else, it was I can't find it. I'm like, really? There was 5 copies in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Wow.
After Forbidden Love, we then had Love Tried to Welcome Me. Tony?
Yeah, I'll keep this one brief. This is also one of my favorite songs on the album, mostly because I'm Latin, and this was Madonna's Miami influence. This sounds like the musical, the production and the music. It sounds like old Cuban boleros. It sounds like most Latin ballads of the time of the 70s and 80s. This is probably why Ingrid was thanked, I guess. I don't know. But this is Madonna's time in Miami kind of being rehashed, in her music, I would say. She hadn't yet worked with the Estefans. That was Evita, but I think this was like also
Precursor
to that vibe.
This song is gorgeous.
Yes.
Stunningly gorgeous. Like if you didn't think Forbidden Love could get any, like you couldn't get any better. Like in comes Love Tried to Welcome Me, and like the orchestration on this is heaven. It's heaven. I would love to hear her do a live version of this with an orchestra. It would just be so fantastic. And I love, like, there's sort of like that, there's like a sparkle sound that she uses in this. And so it's almost like it's like almost like she's opening a gift when you listen to this song. I don't know how to describe it any more than that, but like it's beautiful.
Go back to what Ben was saying earlier. This song also lyrically is beautiful, but it has some literary references. So I feel like side 2 is all about Madonna reading.
Yeah. No, and isn't this one about a stripper that she saw at a strip club in Miami, right?
Yeah,
is that the story she tells about it?
Yeah, the story was that she saw the stripper and she went back to see her. It was that club that they shot photos in for the sex book.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
In Miami. And yeah, I guess she started talking to this woman, and she noticed how sad she was, and from the inside, on the outside she had this beautiful exterior, but on the inside she was very sad and lonely. And
instead of spring, it's always winter.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the lyrics I love in this. This one has
her vocals are so good too.
Yeah, just incredible.
Yeah. So Sanctuary is up next, Ben.
Yeah, Sanctuary is where we get the apex of like the literary illusions, because she brings in our gay granddaddy of poetry, Walt Whitman, for this one, because the opening quote comes from actually Leaves of Grass.
Yeah.
Surely whoever speaks to me in the right voice, him or her I shall follow, as the waters follow the moon silently with fluid steps anywhere around the globe. And it's so funny that she uses that, right? Because in that part of the book, Whitman, well, he was into a lot of kooky stuff, but he was very much into like manly voices, or like voices that had authority and power, that which is why it's like him or her I shall follow, right? It's like, who can tell me what to do and cause this reaction within me and do that thing with the voice that someone who's a great orator or singer can do. So it's really interesting that she starts this song off with that quote, and then the song kind of goes into this whole other zone that's sort of almost like a dirge of like love and death but the orchestration, Nellie Hooper, like totally brings that trip hop vibe to it, like very Blue Lines, Massive Attack, but without like the thumpy thump bass and like that. I love it. I love it. The lyrics are so beautiful.
When this came out, I was very into Nine Inch Nails.
Oh my God. Yes.
I know it's kind of, but I always thought this song specifically, I felt like it was almost like if Madonna and Trent Reznor had like, just like a moment, because it was so different to me, like musically, and there's all this stuff happening that's sort of ethereal, and I just feel like Madonna's hovering above the earth, like kind of, waving her finger over things and deciding stuff, and I don't know, there's something very. It could have almost, I had to, even think like did Trent Reznor have anything to do with this? Like, it's just so different. And yeah, Closer, that was our big our big fave song at that time. But
I just thought Sanctuary was very haunting.
It is,
Yes.
yeah.
Even the way she, like her vocal, like the way she produced her vocals in the song, it's very haunting in sort of like a pre-Frozen way almost. And this is also very like Liberty was saying earlier, where like the albums sort of start to connect to one another, where I'm like, by the time we get to Sanctuary, and then of course up next is Bedtime Story, you can hear the rumblings of Madonna being interested in electronic music a little bit more, and where it's like, that's why Ray of Light makes so much sense, because like you hear Sanctuary, you hear Bedtime Story, and you're like, oh, that's where she's going. That makes perfect sense.
But I always found this to be one of her strongest ballads, even though musically it may not be considered a ballad, but I think it is because she's pleading. She's pleading. You can hear it in her voice. Her voice shakes sometimes. She is longing for someone who will challenge her intellectually, less so physically. She's not really talking about her body. She's talking about like, engage my mind, which if you think about it, at the time, this is before she met her first child's father. So she was in a place where she wanted to be fed words, And then go to the next song, words are useless.
Well, and the production, speaking of the next song, co-written by Bjork, she like wanted to work with Nelly because of his work on Bjork's debut.
Right.
But then like the songs that she did with Nelly, to me, don't share a musical language with what he was doing with Bjork. No. They hearken more to like Soul to Soul and some of the other production that he was doing in Europe in the late 80s, early 90s, which is so interesting that she pursued him because of Bjork. You got him to get Bjork to write her a song that she wrote to make, which we'll talk about in a minute. But like Sanctuary just sounds like nothing else he had ever produced.
Right. When I heard she was working with Nelly Hooper, I was like, oh, so it's going to sound like Debut? Like
that's what I had thought.
I figured we were going to get like her version of Human Behavior or something. Like
something
which I was
a little bit
into.
More.
Yeah, oh, totally. I loved.
Or Violently Happy. Yes, please.
Come on, like sign me up. But that's exactly like I thought we were going to get like that type of like frenetic energy. And so when Sanctuary came on, and there's like almost like a very plotting marching beat to it, like that. I feel like you can hear like a march, like a drummer's march drum beat to it. I was like, what? This doesn't sound anything like I expected it to. And I remember when I was first listening to the album, I was getting ready to go to class. I fresh from Tower Records, and I was like, had the record on. I was rushing to get ready for class, and Sanctuary played, and then all of a sudden, I didn't realize it had led into Bedtime Story, the 10th track on the album. And all of a sudden Bedtime Story started. And I was like, is this the same song? What's going on? Like, cause I didn't realize they had sort of like crossed over. But so Bedtime Story, obviously.
Wait, I have one more question about Sanctuary. Cause you just said that about the marching beat. I don't understand enough about how music works. And is that the same beat as Army of Me from Post, but slowed down?
I mean, it might be. It was in his
arsenal. You know Army of Me, that
I mean, maybe that was like Sanctuary, Nelly Hooper Sanctuary that eventually became
like just that beat, and then he sped it up.
Yeah, maybe.
Huh.
I don't know.
Interesting.
But yeah, so Bedtime Story was the next track. This was the third single released from the album. At the time, the music video was the most expensive music video budget ever. The video for Bedtime Story was directed by Mark Romanek, who is amazing. And I was so happy that she finally worked with Mark Romanek. This video was huge. It got officially screened it premiered in a couple movie theaters in New York City. It is now, I think, in the like what's the pop culture museum, like Hall of Fame type of thing. Like it's like,
Oh, the Library of Congress.
yes, it's a part of the Library of Congress, so it's part of history. Madonna took literary references and like movie references and like jammed them all in. She looks gorgeous in this video. Absolutely stunningly beautiful. The amount of looks in this video, it's just epic. Like there's, I love that they did the pajama party for her at Webster Hall to premiere this. And God bless her for, we'll talk about the pajama party just for a second. God bless her for thinking that she could get drunk people in a nightclub to shut up while she read Miss Spider's Tea Party.
That was ridiculous.
I think the silver lining of that was that we got such brilliant moments of Madonna having to try to corral that drunk crowd, and listening to her try to read that story and then screaming at the people are screaming at her, and she's like, I love the banter that she has with the, come on guys, show some respect, and like she's doing her little snaps, and like, and the one girl screams to her, you go girl, and she's like, I will go if you don't shut up, like it's just watch that special on it's from MTV. Other than the fact that you get to see her dancing in that like see-through negligee, where I think
the
like
nip slippage was amazing.
Boob pop out at one point
multiple times.
Yeah. I mean, she's barely in that dress. Gorgeous, like gorgeous silhouette. I love when they film her from behind because the light is shining at her and they're behind her. You could like she's just basically naked underneath that negligee. It's beautiful. Junior Vasquez, she's dancing with all those lucky people who got to dance with her on stage. But the cake. The icing on the cake is seeing her read that bedtime story and barely getting through it. It's just, when she's like, I'm not your bitch, don't hang your shit on me. And they're all like cheering. It's brilliant. Go watch it. But yeah, Bedtime Story, the song. I mean, I love that she worked with Bjork on that, and that Bjork wrote lyrics that she felt Madonna had never spoken or sung before. And that's where we get sort of like the basis of that song. I was obsessed with it. The picture that I have of Madonna from the video in background of me right now, her with the sunflower spinning behind her. I'll save super specifics, but I was a little inebriated at the time. And I forced everyone to watch the video with me and the other people who were imbibing with me at the time. And I just remember swinging my arms around me while the sunflowers spinning around Madonna saying, I want a sunflower like Madonna. I was obsessed with this video. I also loved the Bjork reference that she did with her hair. That's what I thought I tripped out the most about. Like Bjork had those little like in Violently Happy, she had those like little cone hair like knots on her head, and Madonna, I felt like sort of redid that in the video with the sunflower. So I liked sort of like her nod to that in the styling. But what do y'all think of Bedtime Story?
Love it.
Oh, love it. I really listen, and I love the song as is, but I love that in Reinvention Tour it has this whole like amazing, beautiful moment. The visuals there too, also incredible. But in the video, that the part that just gets me every time is that those birds, and then this sort of, she's got all the goddess hair. It's just incredible. It's incredible. Like, so artistic. I think above my head at the time, I felt like I was maybe a little too, like not mature enough to understand at the time. As I mentioned, I mean, a senior in high school. So you'd think I had some sort of sense, but honestly, I was still a child. So
it had so many references to different artists and fine art. Like there was even stuff, thank God I was in college and could like go to the library and like access it. I'm like, what is that? And you could go and research. I mean, just rife with like, I presume art that she was also into at the time. Mm-hmm. And shout out to the Orbital mix that Liberty was talking about. I remember jigging to that in the club in 1995 and just twirling like my life was never going to end.
And see, I've never been a remix person, so I didn't know that had existed all this time. Like so many years had gone by that I could have probably just listened to it on my own, but I've just never been good at that, and kind of a purist, if you will. always
Well,
just listen to the album
Stewart
tracks.
punched it up for the tour and gave
Yeah.
it like a little more muscle for sure. It's not that muscular on the Bedtime Story. I had the CD single to that one that Stefan had earlier, right? The
Yeah.
Orbital mix is on there.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
The remixes are Junior's Wet Dream Mix, Junior's Dreamy Drum Dub, Orbital Mix, Junior's Sound Factory Mix, and then Junior's Single Mix. Yeah, I wanted there to be really amazing remixes, and I didn't love them as much as I wanted to. It was sort of like,
Oh,
I mean, they're good, but
which remix did she do at the Brits? That was one of the Junior remixes,
Yeah.
right? The do 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 do
Yeah.
do.
yeah.
Yeah, because that
Right.
performance was great.
Yeah.
I love that we got that performance because again, we got a couple. We got there was obviously her and Babyface at the 95 Grammys singing Take a Bow.
Oh, yeah.
She was on Wet and DOS and she did a couple numbers there, but she didn't sing live for Wet and DOS. That was all lip sync. So I didn't love that as much because I wanted her to sing live. But yeah, I think the Brit Awards with that wig that just got in her, like it just kept getting in her face because the way the fans were blowing. But again, I loved that she reunited with
Luca.
Luca Tomasini, thank
Luca.
you, and Sebastian Lacaze. We both had them on the show. If you'd like to hear their interviews, do a little
Yeah,
research.
that performance was directed, devised by Christopher Ciccone. Donatella Versace got that, or Gianni Versace got her that dress.
Oh, it's so gorgeous on her.
Yeah.
So that's Bedtime Story, and then our last track is Sorry, we're running late. I see what. All of a sudden, I saw that I'm like, oh God, Ben's up past his bedtime.
We are.
So,
Oh,
I know, but it's for a good cause. And
Yeah.
we're going to wrap up our talk about the album with Madonna's longest running chart, -- of her
Science.
career.
her
Yep.
biggest
Take
hit,
a-
really.
Yeah.
Her biggest hit, yeah, globally. Well, her biggest radio and chart hit would Take a Bow on the Billboard charts.
Yep.
Yeah, her duet with Babyface, written and produced, and it sounds like a typical R&B song, but then she takes it to Spain and brings us to bullfighting in her expensive video that was her audition reel for Evita.
But at the same time, the idea for the song was canto pop. Babyface asked her, what do you want to do with the song? And she's like, and then she asked him, it's like, what is the most popular music in the world right now? And he's like, it's Cantonese pop. It has the most listeners. So they started from there, and then it's so crazy how the song has the Cantonese pop vibe, yet it's R&B, yet it fits well in a Spanish landscape, right?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
It's universal.
Oh, and I always
No,
love that, like, she wrote it about an actor, but
Warren
then,
Beatty.
yeah, but then she decided to do the bullfight as the video, and it still works.
Yeah, it's a performance
yeah.
metaphor, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
I love
again-
how she does it with the TV in the video. That's my favorite part.
Oh, she's again. This is the second single that we got. It's the second video that we got, and if you look at all four, when you're at Secret, to Take a Bow, to Bedtime Story, to Human Nature, there are four different types of Madonna, like all different looks, all beautiful and gorgeous and heavenly. And it's like, thank you, Madonna, for taking video. And so that video for Take a Bow was directed by Michael Houseman. They had a wonderful special. Her and MTV, they were like PR friends, like PR lovers. Like she
Noble.
was, yeah. I go watch that special. They did that amazing Take a Bow video special of making up. I mean, because her and Kurt Loder are just like trading barbs, and like she's so funny. I love that conversation where they're talking. Her album debuted at number 3, and she's like, who and I think it was like Snoop Dogg or like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg's album was blocking, or Boys to Men or something. And
Boys to Men, yeah.
I think Boys to Men was at number 1, and then Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre were number 2. And she's like, all right, well, I can't be mad at Snoop Dogg, but she's like, but move over, Rover. It's just her comment. And then I love the little sachet party that like her and one of the guys have where they're like walking in the heels, and she's like, "Get my ass," and like it's a very
And
fun Madonna.
isn't that also that special? She like was like, "Oh, there's no choreo because I have a hernia or something." Like I
Oh,
seem to remember. Yeah, like part of it is she's like, "Oh yeah, I have a hernia." So,
That's funny. Yeah. Oh, but what I loved is, so I was watching a couple of the interviews that she did around this time, and this 1994 was when she was living in that castle in the Hollywood, where she had painted the house with stripes, and like it pissed off all her neighbors. And she had told the interviewer, and again, I mentioned this because her brother Christopher just passed away, where Christopher had been in Italy and had seen this one town where all of the houses were painted like that. And when she bought that house, that castle, he came to her and said, "You should paint this like this because this is how it is in Italy," which is why she did it.
Yeah.
So, and the interviewer was like, he's like, "So you didn't do it to piss off your neighbors?" She's like, "No." She's like, "I did it because it's Italian."
Yeah.
And I was like,
she never ended up living there
yeah.
because they staged the house. Christopher designed it, and then that stalker was like,
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yep,
He was
the
like-
stalker.
they found him inside the house, and she's like, "I'm not living in there."
I don't blame her. That's like The Crown when that guy broke into the Queen's room and they had like a 5-minute conversation. Yeah, I don't blame her. I wouldn't. Well, because she didn't in the interview, she didn't even know how many rooms she had. He's like, how many rooms are in this? She's like, "Actually, I don't know." She's like, "I don't know how many rooms I have." So yeah, who knows? I mean, maybe the guy like was there before she moved in and just like waited until she got there. But all right, so that's all of the tracks on the album. I mean, yeah, like Take a Bow. I mean, I feel like it's a beautiful song. Her and Babyface, Marriage Made in Heaven. They sound amazing.
It was in Friends.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And
Oh my God, I forgot it was in the Rachel and Ross
Yes.
finale after it had been #1. Oh my God.
I mean, that just goes to show how huge the song was.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You couldn't go anywhere without hearing Take a Bow. I was a little fatigued by it after a while, but now,
Yeah.
like when I saw the Celebration tour in San Francisco, she performed it here, and it really took me by surprise because that's a song I never expect to hear live.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was in the Place of Rain. So, I mean, it was a moment. You know, I mean, it's part of the celebration, right?
Isn't
Yeah.
it funny that she was moving forward and she did all that stuff for Bedtime Story after spending months filming it, and then it like went nowhere as a single because
I
Take a
know.
Bow was still #1.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That's right.
so crazy.
Yeah. I mean, Bedtime Story, the song isn't necessarily radio friendly. You know,
Right.
it's a very bizarre.
That's true.
It's a very bizarre song. I mean, I love it, but it's not like it's not like melody, like harmony melody. You know, it's like a
Oh,
not
yeah,
like a
no.
catchy chorus to it. I was happy she did that trippy version of it at the Celebration tour on that cube, where it's like to me, it like the visuals of that performance matched the song and the video, and I thought it was great. Again, I didn't think you'd ever see her perform that.
No.
You know,
that
we
was
gotten
just
like nods and
justice
tips.
served.
Yeah.
You know? Justice
Yeah.
So
served.
I was glad that she
yeah.
did that. Real quick, let's talk a little bit about that's just the styling. Obviously, I have a couple of the looks around me. I mean, that one picture of her smoking with the smoky eyes in general. Like,
Yeah.
come on, Madonna and smoky eye, like it's just gorgeous. And on the so it's like you've got the cover shoot by Patrick DeMarchelier. Get me Patrick. And then there's the Bettina Rhymes shoot, obviously her and Melly McDaniel for the Secret video. It's just gorgeous. I mean, it's absolutely stunningly beautiful looks, and that blonde hair, it was so white and wonderful. Here's the one you can't see is her at the sort of 95 music video awards. Is it 94? No, 94. 94, the 94 VMAs when she came out with David Letterman. And they sort of, because they had earlier that year or was it 93 when her and David Letterman argued and had that, like they dropped all the F-bombs and then they showed up at the VMAs. But again, she looked beautiful. Like, I mean, come on, like look how gorgeous she is there.
Yeah, I love it.
But
Yeah.
I mean, styling was like trashy but classy, you know, and like lots of furs or faux furs, and
Well, the smoky eye ties all the looks, even from each sort of
Yeah.
space together. Even like we've said, with each track sort of having its own world,
Mhm.
it's still one woman delivering the goods, and that sort of smoldering eye look is also kind of what was popular at the time, obviously, with the Courtney Love kind of smearing, but hers just looks good. So she
Yeah.
makes that sort of real smoky extra black eyeliner that I've never been able to do well. Just looks so
one day.
stunning.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
There's still time. There's still time.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
interesting that she leaned into that sort of, it wasn't quite current yet. She was still ahead of the curve versus this look behind me, which was the original concept.
Yeah, which is like a completely like white on white, like it's almost ghostly. Yeah, it's funny that they moved from that to what we
Yeah.
ended up getting.
No,
Which,
and then cut to a year later from when the album came out, and suddenly she discovers Gucci by Tom Ford and completely revamps her image. It looks nothing
yeah.
like, it was like, okay, we're on to something to remember now. Okay.
Yeah. But I do love that sort of Dita was still sort of with us by the time Bedtime Story came rolling around. Like she didn't get rid of Dita. It was like Dita just sort of evolved. We got the nose ring. Like it's still sort of like,
oh, this was Dita's cousin from Miami, Deborah.
Yeah, she was subletting an apartment in Harlem at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
definitely
she
from Miami.
summered in Harlem, but she still did her winters in Boca Raton.
she got a sublet in Harlem. It was cheap
Exactly.
on 125. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
She had some art world connections.
Oh yeah.
She was rooming with Melody McDaniel. You know, like that's how they met.
Oh my God.
Anything
So
else?
funny.
Anything we need to cover in the chat, Ben?
No, everybody's been enjoying it and just kind of talking about the era and Take a Bow and then later the VMAs. I think we should mention before we let everybody go to bed that Bedtime Stories got middling to fair reviews when it came out. I mean, some places were nice, some places not so nice. I remember the interview, the very short review in the same issue that Tony has behind him of Details. They reviewed it and said, when Madonna talks about love, it sounds like sex, but when she talks about sex, it sounds like politics. Thank goodness she's talking about love on this album. And that has always struck me as like a high thesis of really what she does. But I feel like in retrospect, because like a lot of places like Slant and even Rolling Stone and Vice News have all done sort of retrospectives back during the 20-year and the 25-year anniversaries of Bedtime Stories, where they really reassess the album, which is interesting that it's gotten reassessed more positively after sort of appropriation and all these things, and where people can traffic has become people are more conscious about that. But I think the overall organic texture of it and the way that she synthesized all the influence, it didn't feel like she was wearing the coat. It felt like she was wearing the coat wasn't wearing her, right? And so it worked and it didn't feel inappropriate. But it's interesting how, just like with Erotica, this album has taken a really long time to get its due and for people to fully understand it.
Yeah.
And who even knew if she appreciated what she was doing then for it to come now? I mean, she clearly has come to love some of these songs, other than she's always loved Human Nature.
Right.
But clearly she's grown fonder of some of them more since then. Like Tony said, who would have ever thought we'd ever hear her do Take a Bow? And then it popped up at Rebel Heart.
Or Bedtime Story.
Yeah.
Or the fact that Bedtime Story got the whole AI Mother Earth NFT weird treatment at Celebration that she called the section sabotage. Oh my God, that's too much. Yeah, just wonderful. But people should go back and read some of the original reviews, because they were not very kind.
Yeah, I remember several like critiques about, oh, it's called Bedtime Stories, but these songs aren't about sex, and it's like you're getting it. They got it wrong. They didn't understand. It wasn't a metaphor for Madonna's going to be naked in every song, and she's going to talk about whatever. It wasn't like that at all. I think it was like we all agreed earlier. It's just a softer side of Madonna, but not compromising her strength either,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
I think they were still hung up on erotica. Like they couldn't move past that. And so when this was coming out, they were expecting bad Madonna again. Like they were like, oh, she's going to come back. She's going to be naughty again. And then she doesn't. And I think they were surprised that it was actually good. That like,
Also,
oh, wow, this is a really great album. I also, speaking of celebration, I loved when she was in Atlanta and she was who was in the audience with her, Dallas Austin, and she called him out. I posted the video on our Instagram. It's buried somewhere in the reels. But she talks about how she was so in love with Dallas Austin while she was making this record, and she like hired a witch to like cast some spells, and she's like, none of those spells worked on him. But she was like, oh well, you weren't in love with me, your loss. And it was just funny to see that like we got a story like that after all this time.
He was with Chili from TLC at the time, right? Yeah.
Oh,
so that witch that she used to see in Miami was Mama Elsa, who I don't know if you guys ever saw the Real
from the
Housewives
Housewives.
of Miami. Yeah, Marisol Patton's mother, and she knew Marisol because Marisol and Ingrid grew up together. They went to the same Catholic high school, and I think they all knew that guy that owned that club, which that whole other story.
That's a different story.
Such a small witchy world, one witch, them all,
right?
And
that's referenced in the Secret video where Madonna's getting a cleansing.
Yes,
the little dribble.
Oh, and the one thing I wanted to say is, I didn't notice this until I rewatched all the videos back to back just the other night. I love that. In every single of the 4 videos, there's a moment where Madonna is upside down, which I don't know if that was a conscious nod to the album cover, but in every video, so in the Secret video, she's upside down when she gets the cleansing. In Take a Bow, she's upside down when she's rolling around in bed with the television. In Bedtime Story, she's upside down at one certain point multiple times. And then in Human Nature, she's again upside down because of the choreography. But there's always a frame of her in each of those videos of her upside down, which I was like, I wonder if they did that because of the album cover or if that was just unintentional. But I kind of like in my head thought, I was like, I'm going to pretend it was intentional just because I like it.
Yeah.
So. Go back and watch them, and you'll be able to see there's like shots of her upside down, and I love it. It's beautiful.
I won't be able not to see it now.
Yeah. I know, right? You just implanted that into my brain.
Well, enjoy this week, everyone. Listen to Bedtime Story. The album turns 30 on October 25th, this coming Friday. So listen and watch and enjoy. Remember, everybody, you can find us on Instagram, X, and Threads at MLVC Podcast. If you'd like to donate to the show, we appreciate your donations at Venmo, MLVC Podcast, or click that like button on YouTube and you can donate via Super Thanks. If you've not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, click that subscribe button so you never miss a video. Until next time, everybody, love tried to welcome me, but my soul drew back.
Guilty of lust and sin.
I know I'm going to go.
I don't believe in guilt anymore. Let's just lust and sin and be done with it.
Yeah.
Before I knew it was a Walt Whitman reference, I thought she was always saying when the water fucks the moon. I can admit it now. I'm not.
Yeah.
I was like, she's being so racist.
That's probably what Walt Whitman meant too. I mean, for being honest.
Tony, she's not getting racy. She's been racy.
She's been racy. I know.
Been racy. All right, everybody.
Yeah.
Well, you three stay there for just a second, but everybody else, go to bed.